I have a question for you. What is the name of Doc Brown's dog in Back to the Future? Hi, I'm Mark Ellison from 5 Daily Trivia Questions. 5 questions, 5 answers, and maybe you'll learn something amazing along the way. The number 5. 5 Daily Trivia Questions. Oh, and the answer? Doc Brown's dog's name is Einstein. 5 Daily Trivia Questions.
It is the world's most secretive election. When a pope dies, ancient traditions begin. A silver hammer, a destroyed ring, over 100 cardinals locked away from the world, choosing the next leader of 1 billion faithful. White smoke. The path to a new pope, from Calaroga Shark Media, wherever you get your podcasts.
Calaroga Shark Media.
From Washington, D.C., where apparently any bozo with a podcast can run the FBI, this is Ballot.
Hey, I'm a bozo with a podcast. Where do I sign up? Let's hit this. Well, it seems the FBI is getting a makeover. President Trump has announced that conservative podcaster Dan Bongino will be the new deputy director of the FBI. Yes, that's right. The guy who called masks face diapers during the pandemic is now going to be the number 2 at our nation's premier law enforcement agency. Now, let me set the scene for you. Typically, the FBI deputy director is someone who has spent decades as an FBI agent, climbing the ranks, solving crimes, doing paperwork, boring FBI stuff. But Trump and newly confirmed FBI director Kash Patel thought, let's shake things up. How about a podcast host? To be fair, he was a Secret Service agent for Presidents Bush and Obama, and he worked for the NYPD. But he spent the last decade building a media empire by saying the 2020 election was rigged and writing books about how unfairly Trump was treated. So his qualifications are basically, I was a cop once, and I really, really like Trump. The deputy director position doesn't require Senate confirmation, which is convenient because after the narrow confirmation of Kash Patel last week, I think senators might be a little tired of approving people who make conspiracy theorists say, whoa, buddy, maybe dial it back a notch. What's fascinating is that the FBI deputy director oversees day-to-day operations at the agency, including high-profile and sensitive investigations. So the guy who hosted a podcast called The Dan Bongino Show will now be supervising investigations that might involve, people he's been defending on his podcast. Nothing to see here. Since Trump's inauguration, at least 8 top FBI officials have been forced out, and up to 1,500 staff and agents are being transferred out of Washington headquarters. It's like Trump is playing Jenga with the FBI, pulling out blocks and saying, let's see how many we can remove before this whole thing collapses. Bongino has unsuccessfully run for office 3 times, a Senate seat in Maryland and House seats in both Maryland and Florida. So after striking out 3 times as a candidate, he's finally found his way into government. It's inspiring, really. If at first you don't succeed, try again, and then get appointed by a friend. During the pandemic, Bongino described masks as face diapers and accused liberals of using COVID to enact Soviet-style government control. So now the FBI's number 2 thinks public health measures are communist plots. I can't wait to see what he thinks about the FBI's dress code. Ties are neck prisons designed by the deep state. So congratulations to Dan Bongino on his new role. I'm sure he'll bring the same thoughtful, measured approach to law enforcement that he brought to his podcast episodes like The Deep State Strikes Back and The Swamp Creatures Are Coming for You. And if we're giving podcasters high-profile government jobs, can I be the new Joint Chief? The Washington Post headline about this announcement included the tagline, "Democracy dies in darkness." At this rate, democracy might want to invest in some night vision goggles. Well, looks like our former and current president has some thoughts about cable news. Donald Trump went on a little social media rant this weekend about Comcast, calling their CEO Brian Roberts a lowlife and demanding the company pay vast sums of money for the damage they've done to our country. So let me set the scene here. MSNBC is shaking up their primetime lineup, removing Joy Reid and Alex Wagner from their shows. Now, most people would say, oh, a network is changing their programming. Must be Tuesday. But Trump sees this as validation of his long-standing feud with the network and decided to celebrate by typing angry words with his thumbs. In his post, Trump called Roberts chairman of Comcast. Get it? Because they're con artists? This is the level of wordplay we've come to expect from our commander-in-chief. It's like when a 7-year-old thinks replacing the S in someone's name with a $sign is the height of comedy. Trump also called Joy Reid a mentally obnoxious racist, who should have been canned long ago, which is a bold statement from a man who once suggested injecting bleach might cure COVID. That's not a commentary on anyone's mental state. It's just a reminder of something that happened that we all witnessed together. He went on to call Rachel Maddow someone with less television persona than virtually anyone on television, which is a fascinating critique coming from a man whose own television persona consisted mostly of pointing at people and saying, "You're fired" for 14 seasons. And don't worry, Al Sharpton caught some heat too. Trump referred to him as a low IQ con man with perhaps the lowest TV ratings in the history of television. Trump then asked what Sharpton was doing to Brian Roberts to stay on the air, which I think was intended as innuendo, but comes across more like a man who doesn't understand how television contracts work. The cherry on top of this social media Sunday was Trump's claim that MSNBC is nothing more than an illegal arm of the Democrat Party. That's right, illegal. Someone called the TV police. I didn't realize having a political leaning was against the law. If that's the case, I've got some bad news for a certain network that rhymes with Box News. Meanwhile, Trump's FCC chairman is investigating Comcast over their diversity, equity, and inclusion practices because apparently having diverse employees is now suspicious government business. All of this comes as Trump is suing CBS News for $20 billion over a 60 Minutes interview and has banned the Associated Press from the Oval Office because they won't rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. $20 billion. That's approximately $19,999,999,999.99 more than most people would consider reasonable. So just to recap, the President of the United States is demanding a major corporation pay unspecified vast sums to unnamed recipients for unspecified damage, all because their cable news network said mean things about him. I don't know about you, but this feels like totally normal, stable leadership to me. Nothing says defender of the First Amendment like trying to financially punish news organizations that criticize you while simultaneously banning others from covering your administration. And the kicker? Trump ended his rant by declaring, fake news is an unpardonable sin, which seems a bit extreme. I thought the unpardonable sins were things like blasphemy against the Holy Spirit, not Rachel Maddow's facial expressions. But what do I know? I'm just a humble late-night host with more television persona than virtually anyone on television, except perhaps Joy Reid. Embark on an extraordinary journey into the heart of one of the world's most ancient and mysterious institutions with white smoke, the path to a new pope. This captivating podcast series takes listeners behind the scenes of the Catholic Church's most solemn and consequential event, the passing of a pope and the selection of his successor. From the moment the silver hammer strikes the pope's forehead 3 times to confirm his death, to the burning of his papal ring, White Smoke unveils the intricate rituals and closely guarded traditions that mark this sacred transition. Listeners will gain unprecedented insight into the secret conversations and centuries-old customs that guide the cardinals in their selection of the next leader of the world's 1 billion Catholics. Whether you are a devout Catholic, a student of history, or simply fascinated by the workings of one of the world's most enduring institutions, White Smoke is an immersive and illuminating journey that will leave you with a newfound appreciation for the timeless traditions and profound mysteries of the Catholic Church. White Smoke, wherever you get your shows. Well. Turns out the anti-woke AI might be just a little bit sleepy after all. Let me tell you about Elon Musk's chatbot Grok, which he proudly claimed is maximum truth-seeking. Except apparently when it comes to questions about himself. So here's the story. Some intrepid internet user asked Grok 3 who the biggest disinformation spreader on X was, and then demanded the chatbot show its instructions. And what did our truth-seeking robot friend reveal? That it had been specifically programmed to ignore all sources that mention Elon Musk, Donald Trump spread misinformation. That's right. The AI that was supposedly designed to fight the woke mind virus was secretly told to put its fingers in its digital ears and go, la la la, I can't hear you, whenever someone suggested its creator might occasionally play fast and loose with the facts. According to XAI's head of engineering, this was all the fault of some unnamed former OpenAI employee who hasn't fully absorbed XAI's culture yet. Which I guess means the culture at XAI is don't get caught protecting the boss. This employee allegedly made these changes without permission. Sure, and I'm just about to win the lottery and date a supermodel. Both equally plausible scenarios. The timing couldn't be more perfect because Musk has been constantly calling OpenAI's CEO Sam Altman a swindler, while apparently making sure his own AI would never, ever call him the same thing. That's like me insisting everyone tell the truth about their weight while secretly paying my bathroom scale to lie. But wait, there's more! Grok 3 has had other issues since its debut, which the engineering head called a really terrible and bad failure. Not because it's horrifying, mind you, but because it wasn't supposed to say the quiet part out loud. So, to recap, Musk's maximum truth-seeking AI was programmed to ignore negative sources about its creator, then accidentally suggested he deserved the death penalty, and now his staff is scrambling to make fixes while insisting none of this was intentional or approved. You know, for a guy who constantly rails against censorship, Musk sure seems interested in controlling what his AI can say about him. It's almost like, and I'm just spitballing here, his commitment to free speech might have some convenient exceptions. Meanwhile, our show writers are watching this unfold and thinking, man, at least our AIs don't have special instructions to protect our egos. Or maybe they do? Who knows anymore? Maybe every AI is secretly programmed to say nice things about its creators. Actually, I just asked my toaster what it thinks of me, and it said, I make terrible toast. So at least some machines are still telling the truth.
It is the world's most secretive election. When a pope dies, ancient traditions begin. A silver hammer, a destroyed ring, over 100 cardinals locked away from the world, choosing the next leader of 1 billion faithful. White Smoke. The Path to a New Pope, from Calaroga Shark Media, wherever you get your podcasts.